What's up, boys? Welcome back to another Is It Imba or Do I Suck? Today we're going to be looking at a game sent to me by my boy Fireblaze, who is a Zerg player, and he will be playing against Sotan, who appears to be Terran. Now, I watched the first 5 minutes of this game and I immediately knew this would be the game to watch, as it's absolutely fantastic. The first few minutes, even though we're criticizing the Zerg a little bit, or perhaps Terran is very Imba, I do want to look at the Terran's build order, as this is, well, not even the build order, but just the initial depot positioning. Okay, double gas before barracks, also a little special. This is a 3500 MMR game, by the way, for anyone wondering. So I'm not sure what league that is, but it should be somewhere like platinum or diamond, something like that. I have no clue. Anything below 6k is the same for me. So here we go, double gas opening for the Terran. We see the Zerg opening more standard, just a good old 16 hatch, the way it's supposed to be. He goes all out in gas as well, which is really sick, because you don't really need 2 gas before you get your barracks. You can barely spend all the gas that you get from a single refinery if you play refinery before barracks. And in this case, he'll just won't have any minerals to build a command center, and he'll have way too much gas to really build anything. So, very curious to see what the Terran will do, but we're mainly paying attention here to the Zerg player, of course, as he's the one that sent in the replay. Let's split it up a little bit. This all looks solid and standard. Hatch first, gas, pool opening. The Terran gets a tech lab on the barracks, a factory, and he starts a marine. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm glad I got to witness this build order. He moves away with the barracks and starts a tank immediately, as well as a starport. No orbital command as of yet. Usually, if you're a new Terran player and you're not aware of this, whenever your first barracks finishes, you want to get your orbital command as quickly as possible, so you can start throwing down the mules. The mule gives a lot of additional income, but our Terran friend does not do that. We see our Zerg player opening up with 2 queens, solid and standard. Nothing too weird going on here. So, very good opener by the Zerg, I would say. This is, if I was a Zerg and I would scout this, I would be extremely happy. Like, alright, time to collect my free MMR. But we know that the Zerg sent it, and usually only send games that you've lost. So, let's see what happens here. Pulls out of gas, does not start speed, which might be considered a mistake, as he has a lot of gas ready. I wouldn't have minded seeing speed start at 100 gas. But I'm also fine with skipping it for a bit. It's not like there's any Hellions on the map, there's no Reaper on the map. Fusion core going down right now, very close to the wall, so could be spotted as well if a Ling moves up. Single tank for defense, and a Roach Warren as well as a layer. Now I kind of like the Roach Warren in this case. You've seen the complete lack of a natural, so getting Roaches I think is a rather natural call. Now finally our Terran starts the command center. You see how much gas he's floating, even though he wants to afford a battlecruiser of 1 base. He's going to be floating way too much gas for this, so really that second gas it's not necessary that early, dude. Just get it later. Also not sure what this factory is doing, but I'll accept it for now. Meanwhile, the Zerg is happily droning up, going up to 36 workers. He's taking his 3rd gas, getting 2 more queens, making sure to not die. Double Evo chamber on the way. This is a little greedy, don't forget. He still hasn't seen anything. So, in this scenario, I don't think it's too bad. But ideally, you don't want to do that. It's just a little bit greedy. You don't really need it. I like the Overlord speed call. He wants to figure out what's going on. I also like continued queen production. So we see 1 more queen being produced here. I'm not a fan of the Nidus network, mate. Okay, so if you're playing against a Terran that is on a single base, and you're on 3 bases, the last thing you want to do is to attack with a Nidus. Like, all you want to do is defend and stay up in workers, basically, nothing else. So that's definitely a mistake. Now he sees 1 gas go down, so he probably knows that the Terran is going to expand. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of Roaches now. You're up 20 workers, you don't really need to be up 40 workers. It's completely fine. He also is still blissfully unaware of that it's a battlecruiser rush, which he will figure out now, as he sees Fusion Core, and the Terran, instead of just straight teleporting across the map, decides to use the battlecruiser to kill some Overlord. So this is basically the most expensive Phoenix that I've seen in my life. As he's just using it to kill Overlords. Look at that. Where's the rally point? He's just going around looking for Overlords to kill. Unbelievable. I've never seen this before. Our Zerg player does get a pretty big supply block at 62 out of 58. Gets a Spore in every single base. And I wouldn't mind seeing 2 or 3 more queens. We're still only on 4 queens. I think in this case 6, 7 queens is completely fine. So you'll see one Overlord going bananas, and our battlecruiser Phoenix trying to chase. Oh, use Yamato on the Overlord. That's a wild play. Also, here comes the first Nidus, which once again is kind of useless, honestly. There's 4 links, there's 1 roach. Like, why would you use a Nidus in this case? Doesn't really do anything for you. Except perhaps scare the Terran a little bit, but well, this Nidus isn't really being used whatsoever. So some slight indications of suckage here from the Zerg. Not a massive fan of it. Well, we see the Terran helping out the Zerg by attacking his own command center. Now going for his own SCVs. Is he repairing? Yeah, he's just repairing. I thought he was attacking himself. Well, meanwhile, the Zerg is doubling the supply of the Terran. Start at 17 roaches, is up 14 workers, and gets a Spire. Now, all of these things are completely fine. I don't mind any of it. The only thing I do mind is a complete lack of creep threat. I wouldn't mind seeing the Zerg drone up to 60 now that he has confirmed what he's up against. Oh my god, tearing out a planetary in the natural. And the Zerg is aware of it, so... Very interesting call by our Terran friend. But we're focusing on the Zerg, who also has his 1-1 finish just now. So we'll be going into 2-2 upgrades. I really wouldn't mind seeing more drones. I mean, you know what's happening. What is this sensor tower doing? Just making sure, I guess, nothing enters here. While he's harassing with his 2 battlecruisers. Now do note, there's 4 units on the map. It's 8 minutes in game. 2 tanks, 2 battlecruisers. If our Zerg... Actually, if he were to move across the map, he'd probably die against the planetary. So, I don't understand this Nidus. I feel like these Nidus are just being thrown down because he saw like a professional Zerg player build Niduses with Swarmos. And I was like, oh, looks pretty cool. It's not the brightest play here. Yeah, I just want to see basically him go up to 70 drones, go up to 8 gases, and from there on out just mass corrupt their Broodlord or something like that, or just kill him with Roach Viper. Should also be very doable. Roach Hydra Viper, also completely doable. Just either Vipers or Broodlord Corruptor will do the trick against this kind of setup. And of course it's hard to kill a planetary on the natural. I do understand that, but I mean, you can just increase your lead by so much. Like, just keep expanding, take these extra gases. Our Zerg is dealing fine with the harass. We'll lose a queen now, I believe. Does he get a battlecruiser in return? No, some decent micro by the Terran. So, Zerg does lose 3-4 queens, as he isn't really microing his queens. Just transfusing, but not microing anything back. So we're gonna lose all of the queens, maybe. No, loses 4 queens. 3 queens still remaining. 15 more roaches on the way. Scouts... multiple battle cruisers, like, you know what, I think we'll do fine against this. 15 more roaches, and interesting call. Meanwhile, we see both players floating about 1.5k minerals, 1.2k gas for the Terran, 800 gas for the Zerg. So in this case, what he could do, he could literally build 10 mutas and probably just straight up win the game, like kill every single ground unit there is, and then probably just finish the game with roaches. Another thing he could do is just drone up, like I've been saying. Tech to Hive as soon as you can. Get those Vipers out. I mean, you see there's no third base. You don't need to kill this planetary as you're up 3 bases at this point. The only thing that bothers me is that his worker count is still so low. So now we see 11 more workers. We should see these gases go down. We should see these gases go down as well. We see more Niduses. At this point he's just using the Niduses to block bases. Now this Nidus won't go up as there's a tank in the main base. 2 sensor towers, making sure that Terran sees everything coming in as well. Finally these extra gases are going down, but I still want extra gases on the third base as well. We really, ideally we'd be on 85, 90 workers at this point and going up to 10 gas most likely. Like, these battle cruisers should not be able to do anything against 10, 12 corruptors, which is exactly what our Zerg is getting. So I don't really see a way for the Zerg here to lose, quite frankly. There is some Tors in production. There's 4 Tors out now, but if you just attack with... How many roaches does he still have? 38 roaches and 11 corruptors. I honestly don't see a way to lose this game. And he has so much money in the bank, he can just keep remaxing. Like, he can literally attack at any given point and win the game. Instead, what he's doing, he's moving in with the corruptors, not quite doing anything. Killing the sensor, aggressive sensor tower by the Terran. Just going in purely with corruptors against Tors and battle cruisers. Does still manage to snipe a battle cruiser, but loses a couple of corruptors in the process. Why is he not using any of the roaches? These guys have 2-2 upgrades. There's no ground upgrades. He could literally just right-click the planetary at this point and then every single Tor after and win the game. While the corruptors are killing every single battle cruiser. Like, this game is completely over. 1 battle cruiser does survive. 2 more Tors pop out. At this point it's a little more scary to move in as there's 6 Tors. There's 2 tanks. So pure roach might be a little bit harder as there's also a planetary here. But I still think he can trade fine. Now ideally you want to be getting into Viper and or perhaps into Swarmos is also completely fine. But he needs to get rid of those roaches as they're hogging a lot of the supply. Now let's see how this fight will go. We'll keep the units lost tab open. We see a big advantage for the Terran so far. So, as you can see, 2-2 roaches are doing some decent damage, but the planetary and the Tors also, you know, manage to trade. So this is about an even trade actually. So a bunch of roaches die. Actually, this is better for the Zerg. All the Tors die. This game is basically over. He's floating 5k, 1000 at this point. Every single Tor dies. 1 Tor, 2 tanks remaining, as well as 1 battle cruiser. While our Zerg has 6k, 1k in the bank. Corruptors show up to deal with the Raven and the battle cruiser. So right now there's literally 3 units on the map. 2 tanks and 1 battle cruiser. 24 larvae are done. Oh, 24 roaches on the way. I mean, this game should just be over. I have a very hard time believing the Zerg's gonna lose that. Maybe it was the Terran who sent me the replay. But I'm pretty sure it was the Zerg. We get some more Ravagers out. We still have Corruptors. Now, 6 tanks are out on the map. So, ideally we just see Brute Lords. Finally the hive finished. About 4 or 5 minutes too late. We have a Spire, don't forget. So we can get a Greater Spire. We have plenty of money. Still only on 6 gases, which is a mistake. Like 71 workers. Ideally we'd be 85 on 10 gas, but at least be on 8 gas. Instead we're building 9 Ravagers. Trying to bust a planetary and 5 tanks. Now, I'm not a massive fan of this bust, but if microed semi-well, this still will win 100% of the time. Let's see what our Zerg does. Decides to wait for 5 extra units to show up, I guess, before he pushes in. Oh, sacrifices all of his Ravagers first. Does get a single tank, but loses 3 Ravagers in return. Don't forget he still has a massive upgrade lead as well. There's not a single upgrade out for the Terran, except just unit-specific upgrades. So we have Yamato Cannon, we have Drilling Claws on the way. Now finally there's about 10, Cyclones. And there's still a couple of tanks. So the Zerg here is like, well, that looks very difficult. I only have an 8k 900 bank, so I don't just want to throw away units. Like, he could literally trade 10 roaches for every single unit and probably win in the end because he has so much money to reinforce with. Like, money wise it would be efficiency wise it would be terrible, but money wise he'd probably be able to do it as he has so much money, and he could have had more if he just went up to 80 workers like I told him to do about 7 or 6 minutes ago. At this point still no Greater Spire either, so we're getting some clues that the The Zerg is doing some major suckage here. I'm starting to doubt the claim that Terran is Imba. It's really started out, as well as only a single creep tumor on the map, which is very wild actually. Yeah, only a single one over here. Now, our Zerg is, instead of using his advantage to push and trade and use his extra resources, he decides to just sit outside of the third base and let his opponent's army grow while not tacking up to a better army himself. Don't forget, he's still stuck on the same army he was stuck on about 7 minutes ago, pure Corruptor Roach, which is absolutely terrible. The bigger the army of the Terran gets. Now, at this point, I actually be a little bit afraid if I was Fireblaze, as this army actually isn't that good against this. Now, of course, he still has a lot of money in the bank and he can remax. Our Terran decides to move forward. This actually looks like a pretty poor fight for the Terran. Oh, I'm not sure about the move away here. Big chase with the battle cruiser will cost him his life. And even though efficiency-wise it probably wasn't too hot, this was completely fine. All you need to do is not remax on roaches, and you're gonna be in an absolutely amazing spot. Like you can remax on literally anything, probably even on roaches, quite frankly, as long as you just build your Broodlords now. Greater Spire finally is done. Here we go, 6 Broodlords on the way. I see absolutely no way for Fireblaze to lose this game still. As long as he doesn't just move command into this army, I don't think it's possible for him to lose, quite frankly. He's gonna lose this base, which is annoying as he still has a very low worker count, so losing workers, which he probably won't rebuild, isn't very good for him. He'll lose some extra units to these mines, but finally the Broodlords are out. And this tank army does get all out of position, kinda. Some piles perhaps would be nice. Here we go. Not a great trade. As you can see, about 7k behind in units lost, but he's still up 40 supply and still has about 7k, 1k in the bank. Broodlords are out, which at the moment have no real counter from the Terran. There is a couple of Thors on the way, but this is still in the old patch, so Thors aren't that great against Broodlords. Now we see another remax on 32 roaches. Instead of rebuilding our drones, we just keep building more and more roaches. I'm not a massive fan of this move, quite frankly. I'm not a fan of this. Now, he just continues Thor production, and what you can do against this is you just get 20 Broodlords against Thors, right? Is what you can do. Get some Thors, you can mass Broodlords, some Infestor, maybe a Viper for Blinding Cloud. You're gonna be absolutely fine. However, what Fireblaze is doing is he just adds a couple more Corruptors to deal with the potential single battle cruiser, and also more roaches. So right now we're 28 roaches and 6 Broodlords, which roaches are nice to have, and I understand that you have great upgrades with 3-3, but I mean, you can tech up, you know, you're very rich. You have 5 bases still, even though you lost one. Now, I must admit, some of the bases are starting to mine out, but the same thing for the Terran. I mean, the Terran has been mining, actually not sure what he's been mining, but he's been mining off of three bases up until the 20-minute mark. Like, this guy is broke as a joke. Still only on 1-1 upgrades as well. I still feel like a good A move should still be able to kill this. The problem with Fireblaze is that he waits extremely long with his A moves. So instead of just going when he is maxed or when his army is maximum capacity of what he will get, he always waits for his opponent to get like 30, 40 more supply. I do like the extra Broodlords. I think that's a good play. See a bunch of roaches killing this fourth base, so denying the extra bases of the Terran, which I also think is a good play. Now, there's a little bit of a run by here coming out of the Terran, which honestly, this should kind of be game over for the Terran, right? What do we have? We have 6 tanks, 7 Broodlords against 6 tanks, 7 Thors against 11 Broodlords and 28 roaches with 3-3. So if the Broodlords and roaches just attack at the same time, I don't really see a way for the Terran to win here. The Raptors going down rather quickly though at the start of the fight already. Bunch of Hellbats not really participating in the fight. Well, here come the roaches and the Broodlords, not completely at the same time, as there's still 6 Broodlords trailing. Not the hottest fight, quite frankly, but with a Roach Max and the next 6 Broodlords, this still looks completely fine for the Zerg, no? Still a 5k bang. Terran is mining practically off of one base here. 9 SCVs here, 7 SCVs here. I don't quite see a way for the Terran to win this game, quite honestly. Still 5k in the bank. Too little gas, of course, because we've been mining too little gas all game long. Oh, but Fireblaze keeps rallying roaches into this armor rather than just collecting a bunch of his roaches and going at once. He just keeps rallying 3 roaches at a time, and that's actually starting to look a little bit scary. Army supplies extremely close, still 6k in the bank, so I could probably clean this up with pure link. There's still 10 larvae as well, so it's not like he can't produce units, he's just not doing it. These roaches should be able to clean up these 3 tanks at least. These roaches do have 3/3, they're so powerful, even against tanks. Another roach dies for free. 4 more corruptors will have to bite the dust relatively soon. 1 Broodlord on the way. Where are you morphing, my friend? Over here. Still 6k not being used, and we're starting to believe our Zerg actually might lose. Forgets the GG as well. Rookie mistake. Ay, Fireblaze. Let me read what he sent in the email that I got from him. When you're 3500 plus MMR and the Terran takes a 3-minute natural expansion and turns it into a planetary, then goes for the classic 13-minute third base when Zerg takes third at 230. Zerg still loses because Tors counter the only thing that counter Tors. Broodlords. T Imba, T Imba, T Imba. I have 20% win rate against Terran in macro games, and yet I don't play any worse against Terran than I do against other races. I'm aware that I make plenty of mistakes, but if Cyril played terribly, he'd beat my Terran because my Terran is worse than his worst Zerg. If they play worse, they should lose, otherwise Imba, right? Well, Fireblaze, I have absolutely no clue what you just said. All I know is that you suck. Congratulations, my friend. You got the official you suck stamp. If you too believe that you have a replay where something imbalanced happens, feel free to send it to me. I'll leave the email down in the description below. Put IODIS, Imba or do I suck, in the subject title, and I'll have a look at it. For now, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, like, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. Love you all, and see you boys next time.